2 has entered the podcast.
Welcome back, people, to Player 2 has entered the podcast. That podcast we talk about video games, nerd stuff, and friends catching up for the week. I am your co-host, Michael, a.k.a. MC Paperstacks, and with me, as always, is my co-host with the co-most,
Derrick, a.k.a. Full Metal Merc.
And this week, we got a special guest on the episode that we've been talking to for about a half hour, but due to technical difficulties, we're re-recording. Woo!
I do the air siren again.
We'll do that again. We have the Retro Runner on the show. Give it up for Ian. How you doing today, sir?
Hi.
Again. Oh my god. Technical mother effing difficulties. What's funny is before we record every week, I tell Derrick, I'm like, I got the backup up. We're good to go. And the backup actually helped us because I had a power outage one week. But I've never had clean feed crash on me. Luckily, when it crashes, it holds the session, but it does erase the recording. So I know. So it's okay. We had a really good discussion, and screw it, we're going to have another good discussion. We're going to launch right back into it. So for those who don't know, my good friend Ian, a.k.a. the Retro Runner, he recently got the world record setting run on Ninja Gaiden for the NES back in September. Oh my god, amazing stuff. Once again, congratulations.
Thanks.
And I just got to say, super impressive. I wanted to first off say, we really enjoyed the video recap you did on that on YouTube. People should go check it out. We'll make sure that we get that information on the pod for people to check that out. But I wanted to get to know you as a speedrunner and introduce you to our listeners. If you'll indulge me, once again, the origins of you getting into speedrunning, your story, what started your interest, what solidified this as something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, sure. And again, thanks for watching the video. And I hope you guys check it out. It's a fun time. It's not just the raw footage or whatever. It's a good time. So
yeah, no, the editing is great. And we talked about it before. It reminds us a lot of Continue, which was, we know, an inspiration, which is also a great show. So, no, I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So my beginnings with speedrunning really have nothing to do with Ninja Gaiden. What happened is I was hanging out with my friend, and we're kind of passing the controller around between us, looking for a game to play. We decided to play some Mega Man X, and the week prior, my friend had sent me some YouTube links of this guy, a speedrunner. His name was Caleb Hart. He was like, "Did you watch that Caleb Hart video yet?" I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Let's watch it right now." I'm like, "Oh, all right, fine. I don't really want to watch it, but okay, fine." At that point, I'm thinking, having no idea what a speedrun is, never having watched it, or a singular speedrun, I have no idea what it is. I'm thinking in my head, I'm pretty good at Mega Man X. I'm pretty good at video games. What's this guy going to show me?
What this is speedrunning you?
What is speedrun? What is speedrun? It's not going to show me anything cool. And not only was I so wrong about that, I was blown away,
Mm-hmm.
I've said this many times on other platforms. It was very much like when you read a book or watch a movie or see a musician that just, it's not like, oh, I like that experience, or I had a good time with that experience. It shatters your perspective on life. I was blown away. I'd never seen anything like that. I didn't know that you could be that good at a video game in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really how it started. We started watching this dude, Caleb Hart, on YouTube. And we had watched enough of it that my friend was like, "Hey, I have an idea. Why don't we both take a couple of weeks and try to learn as much about how to go fast in Mega Man X, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we'll race each other for fun." I think he had a good time with it, and he definitely had the interest and stuff. But for me, once I had even the smallest taste of learning tech to go fast, that was it. I was hooked. I needed to know everything, or as much as I could know, because it's so gratifying to take a game that you already liked a lot from your childhood and just be able to blow through it, acquire the knowledge to go really fast. That is a lot of fun. Another fork in the road, as it were, is really important for my speedrun journey. Another time, a friend of mine and myself, we made a mini goal, committed ourselves to try to beat Ninja Gaiden for Nintendo as adults. Because neither of us had beaten it. And we did, but it took us 2 separate nights of 3 or 4 hours each. It was brutal. And we eventually beat it, but when we beat it, I was like, man, that was luck. And now I'm kind of aware of speedrunning. I know what it is. I'm like, I wonder what a Ninja Gaiden speedrun looks like. I'm sure there's a lot easier ways to do these things, areas that we struggled with. So I go to YouTube, I type in Ninja Gaiden world record, and cue up this video of the speedrunner. His name's Arcus. And his vibe is just so calm and demure. He's like the Bob Ross of speedrunning. And he's doing these like crazy technical things. He wears a cowboy hat. He's got a bolo tie. It's like really unique. This is not what I expected to find when I looked up Ninja Gaiden World Record. And I watched it. I was like, that is really cool. I like this guy's swagger, his cowboy swagger. Everything in the speedrun looks dope. It looks really cool. I'm in. So, you know, it didn't start obviously with me committing myself to like, I'm going to get the speedrun world record for Ninja Gaiden. It would just be like little things that I'd see him do and I'd kind of humbly try to mimic on my own. Those were the two biggest pieces of the puzzle for me becoming like a speedrunner.
Right on, right on. And thank you for indulging me by telling us that story again. I appreciate it.
I try to make it the same but different, you know.
It'll be the first time for everybody else, so I hope you're not too self-conscious about it. I'm still upset I didn't put up a backup recording.
Right.
I'm going to be yelling at myself later about that. Okay, well, then once again, as I had an interest earlier, I will ask you, at what point did you stop going for PB, or you know what we call personal best, and started looking at this as a viable world record attempt?
That's one thing that I've always loved about speedrunning. Like, there is this competitive element to it by nature. But really, for me and many other runners, it's not even about being faster than someone else. You're always running against the best of yourself, which has self-improvement applications way outside of video games, which could be an entirely... We could have another podcast on that subject alone.
Sure.
But I guess what really planted the seed in my brain that it could be possible was I had gotten the third place run. Arcus had the Ninja Gaiden world record for like over 5 years, which is a really long time in speedrunning. I mean, there are runs certainly that are older than that, but it's not a common thing at all for a record to last that long. And not only did he have it that long, even second place was 6 seconds away. A lot of the time you go to a leaderboard for a speedrun game, you check out the top times or whatever, the world record, second place, third place. You know, you have the world record and maybe second place is like fractions of seconds behind, you know?
Yeah. No, 6 seconds is huge in the speedrunning world. Yeah.
And that was the best that anyone had ever done, you know, closest anyone that had ever come. At the time, I had made a little bit of noise by getting third place, which was still an 11:47. So we're still talking about 9 seconds away from world record. That's third place. At the time, my immediate goal was, all right, I only need a little bit more than 3 seconds, which is still a lot, especially when your time is all the way up there. It's like a vast amount of time that you have to make good on. Mm-hmm. Seems reasonable that I could grab second place. And at the time, you know, I would have been happy with an 11:43.999 or whatever, right? Like just barely edging out that 11:44. And I thought that's what was going to be the case. But when we did grab that second place, it was an 11:40. Mm-hmm. So this is 4 seconds over the previous world record. I had shaved some 6 and a fraction seconds off my personal best at the time, which is a pretty wide gap. And now I'm within 2 seconds of world record. This is kind of a big deal because no one has ever even been that close, ever. And no one was ever even that close to getting what we call sub 11:40, so like 11:39 and under. So when I grabbed second place, I would put like, as a funny title of the stream, I'd say world record attempts, but I didn't really think that, you know, I just like, it's almost a joke. Once we started shaving down that 11:40 to like 11:39, I was like, oh, this isn't a joke anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, this has actually happened. And at some point in the grind, it became less about improving my time, and it became like I have a solid, realistic, executable plan. And if I execute that plan, we get a record. You know, it wasn't like, oh, we pray for a miracle and maybe we'll get a record. No, if I follow this plan and keep on throwing attempts at this plan, it's going to happen. You know, like it'll take a lot of attempts, but if I keep on throwing attempts at this plan, it's going to happen. And then I guess it took me, I think, just almost to the day, over a month from when I got the second place time of 11:40 to the world record of 11:37.
Wow.
And you had mentioned previously you were the second place partially seriously, partially not seriously going after that number one spot for over a year, right?
Yeah, just over a year.
Pretty impressive stuff. I said it in the previous response, but it bears mentioning again. I find that really impressive. For me to play the same game that long just doesn't really seem tenable because I'm always hopping from game to game. But I like how you framed that it becomes a bit of an obsession. You go, I know I can get just that much further, and it just becomes this thing that you have to do. And I think a lot of gamers can relate to that as far as challenges in beating games or 100% in games, being a completionist. It's like a micro version of not only being a completionist, but being the fastest person ever to do a game. It's just that commitment and that discipline, very impressive.
Thanks again. And also, again, the sentiment of self-improvement cannot be understated. I know it's like, I'm not curing cancer or anything. Like, I'm playing a 30-year-old video game. I know this. But if you take these principles and you apply them to like other things, it almost becomes bigger than yourself. And I have this in the world record video. I'll mention that in other personal best videos. We call this the pop-off. You get the time that you want, and who knows what you're going to say. You're going to scream. I've seen runners like rip their shirt off and just say like cringy stuff. So I knew something like that was going to happen. Yeah. If such an occasion would happen. So I prepared some words that I wanted to convey at the end of that. If you want something, you can get it. And it doesn't have to be important to anyone else. It only has to matter to you. And if you believe in it, it's worth going for.
Yeah, I remember those words that you said at the end of your video when you uploaded it to YouTube. And it was very heartfelt and it's inspirational. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can look back, especially in moments of celebration, like pure joy, and you're just completely 100% vulnerable. It can feel cringy, but I can tell you, like, as a spectator, I was with you on that journey. I was very excited, and it was fun to watch, and I was very happy for you. So it didn't feel cringy at all. But speaking of cringe, that reminds me of one of the memes you used. You had mentioned a guy he was like, I knew a guy once that crapped his pants. And then you put up the face of that little girl like, what?
A lot of times, and this is a tactic that I found that can work, you get nervous. If you're on a pace, like a fire pace, you're going to get nervous. So sometimes I'll just kind of like try to talk about something that is really dumb or like has certainly nothing to do with what I'm doing at the time. And like it can turn into like kind of a nervous rambling, and that was totally... Yeah, I said it. I was like, "Why did I say that? Why did I talk about Dan at work?" Like,
yeah, I know. I've done stuff like that on stream before too. It actually reminded me. Do you remember? It's a pretty viral clip from Game Grumps when Aaron Hansen was playing that Mega Man-ish game where he was fighting the plant. What's that game called? Do you remember what I'm talking about? He was telling a bunch of random stories to try to get him through this boss battle. I don't think he ever beat it. It was a half hour of him getting defeated over and over and over again and just saying the most random shit like you can imagine.
Battle Kid?
Battle Kid. That's what it was.
It is, right. Yeah, I know the episode, I think.
Yeah. No, it was that same kind of energy. You could start to see yourself going from like, this is just a practice run, this sucks, to, oh shit, I'm within striking distance, and then getting nervous, and then, like you said, using that technique. Completely understandable, and ended up making a really funny moment in the actual video. So very cool. All right, well, let me get us up to the point where we lost the recording originally and ask you.
We did it, guys.
We got one last question to get there. So, aside from Ninja Gaiden, what are your immediate plans for speedrunning? I know you said you wanted to go for a better time in Ninja Gaiden, which makes sense. You got the #1 headband now. What else are you looking at playing? Like, what's in store for you right now?
Something I didn't mention last time is there are different categories for speedruns. Like, there are different rule sets you can give yourself, and there are different categories. One category is called low percent, which means you can only use your sword. You can not use any sub-weapons. You cannot collect health. You can't collect stop timer. None of that. It's just your sword. It's called low percent. It's pretty challenging, but I think there's a lot of time left on that. So I would like to, if I can, get close enough to a world record in that, maybe even a world record. It would be cool just to bring a little bit more attention to that category, because I know a lot of really talented runners who run that category, and I just feel like it doesn't get the love that it deserves, because it's really impressive. It's hard enough to beat Ninja Gaiden. To beat Ninja Gaiden with only your sword, it's a pretty tall order, and to do it fast. barring Ninja Gaiden completely, we started playing a game that I just liked called Bucky O'Hare for the NES, like every Friday, just to give myself kind of a palate cleanse, and the viewers too, you know, a little break from Ninja Gaiden, and just casually, slowly started to learn the route of the speedrun for that game. And I've been getting a little better at it. I had third place for a day, and someone came and sniped it from me the next day. And he's a really cool guy, and he's been helping me learn the game a lot, so it's not like a dick move at all.
Oh, no, that's just what you guys do.
Yeah,
and from what I
exactly.
understand, everybody that's kind of at the top, it's a friendly rivalry. It's not like you guys are trying to screw each other over or anything.
No, not at all. If anything, he did that to like keep me invested in the game, you know, like to put that bug up my ass.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could definitely get second place for sure in that game. The community is growing from that game. People are starting to get interested in finding ways to go faster in that game, and myself and some other runners are finding like new ways to go even faster. It's possible, you know, could be part of a world record grind for that game, or if nothing else, be a part of someone else's journey to world record that game. You know, I already have some tech that came up with that someone else didn't find, and that's always a great thing in a speed run. Like, that's another way to be a part of a game's history. Speed
to
running
get shout out like, this is the retro runner technique.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like always your trick, you know, like records get traded all the time and get beaten all the time, but like that's always your
if you're the one that discovered that exploit. Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, I mean, at first it was just like, this is a cool game, it's a fun game to play, and now like maybe you get a little more serious about that.
Yeah, just like Ninja Gaiden, that's how it goes. Yeah, I popped in and watched you play Bucky today, and I had never heard of the game, and it looks so cool.
It's dope.
Oh my God.
It's dope. Let me just tell you.
Okay. Tell me again.
Okay. Bucky O'Hare is dope, and it's like one of the dopest games that you've never heard of on the NES. I might call it a hidden gem, although a lot of people seem to know it because it is what collectors would call a wallet buster. It's very rare to get an original card of this thing. And there's a few reasons for that. One is it's kind of from an obscure IP. Bucky O'Hare, I think, started as a comic book and then became a very successful toy line. And then they created a cartoon series to push the toy line. And then they also created this game. And this is kind of like towards the end, the culmination of the Bucky hype, right? It's very late in the NES life cycle. It didn't come to the States till 92. So Super Nintendo's already out for like an entire year. And here comes this brand new game for regular Nintendo. That being said, released by like a AAA company, Konami, who's already like pumping out amazing games. And because it was so late in the Nintendo life cycle, I think that they really knew how to dial in what they wanted that console to do and how to make it work for them in the most impressive and efficient way. So like it's reflected in like the controls are airtight. They're very intuitive controls, not janky at all. You have a lot of freedom of motion and agency with your characters, unlike some other Konami games. I won't mention, like maybe like Castlevania, where you kind of like locked into an arc of a jump or something like that. And it's just a great game. It's a great game. I recommend just even trying to beat it casually. It's pretty challenging, but it's also very fair. Every time you die or run out of continues or even game over, throughout all of those circumstances, you'll always start at the beginning of the screen that you died in. So can be very challenging, but it's super fair. You have all these chances to like trial and error your way screen to screen. And it's just dope. Also, the soundtrack is amazing. It's my personal favorite on the entire NES library. It's the best soundtrack ever. Go play it.
Sold. I want to check it out this week. I'm totally sold. Thank you for helping me discover that great game. So, and I hope listeners out there, if you love retro games, you'll go check it out as well. All right. Now we are finally at the point where we lost all the footage.
We did it.
We did it. Woo! Let's plow forward. So let me ask you, as a seasoned runner, someone who got into this and really found a passion for it, what advice do you have for gamers out there who are interested in getting into speedrunning? How they can get started, what they can expect?
Okay, so some super general tips for someone interested in getting their feet wet in speedrunning. It might sound obvious, but find a game that you like. You know, you really like. Don't just run a game because you think it's popular or whatever. This particularly, I think, applies to people who are already streamers. You know, you intend to stream your speedrunning journey on Twitch or YouTube or whatever. Don't pick a game because it's popular. Pick a game because you like it a lot, because you're going to have to play it a lot. You're going to be playing it a lot. Also, pick a game maybe that is not, like, annoying to listen to. Like, maybe you kind of like the game, but has really annoying sound effects. You're going to be listening to those sound effects a lot. So take that into consideration. It might sound stupid, but it will wear on you really quickly. The other thing is, particularly when it comes to, like... I mean, this is really any game, but particularly I find with the retro stuff, become a part of the community, because you can find a singular video on YouTube that is a tutorial for this game that you would like to run, or some clips. So you can watch a world record and try to glean information from that. But the best way, and I wish I knew this when I started, the best way to learn a game is by using many people as resources. It's not, I think maybe some people think like we're trying to guard this speed tech information so that someone doesn't sweep the rug under us and take this valuable information from us. Not like that at all. We're all like a bunch of nerds, and we're just like excited that you want to talk to us about something that we like. So a lot of these communities are really welcoming. Certainly the Ninja Gaiden community is like amazing. You can find them on Discord and stuff, or forums and on speedrun.com. Get involved with the community. Watch other people who run that game, hang out with them in their streams or watch their videos. That is the best way to get better at a game and get information on it. Get information on things you probably weren't even aware of, but like by being part of a community, you are made aware of. And it makes your journey like bolstered by all these people instead of like you just toiling away by yourself, you know, in front of a computer. And then the last thing that I would recommend is, and obviously you can't do this with a lot of modern games, but something that's going to help you learn faster and practice faster is some manner of what we call save states. There's a lot of ways to do this. When I started, I had an NES Classic, and you can take like 4 snapshots or whatever, quick saves, at any point in the game, and you can just practice those parts over and over and over again instead of like having to play the game to a certain point and practice a certain thing and then failing and then having to do that again. You could do it that way, and you actually do have to do that with a lot of modern games, but it's way more time consuming. Especially at first, I recommend some kind of save state situations. I started with an NES Classic. You can have an emulator on your computer. You can have a ton of save states. They have, and these are great, flash carts, it's an actual physical cartridge that you can put an SD card into and pump ROMs into. And a lot of these flash carts allow you to have save states on games and stuff. And you can use the original hardware, which is like super cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, as far as the community, I completely agree with you. My run-ins with the community myself, like when I'm streaming and maybe somebody who speedruns the game I'm playing pops in, they're always like, oh, wow, hey, I speedrun this game. If you ever want to try that, get with me, and blah, 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 blah. And whenever I talk with speedrunners or I look at how the community themselves, how they interact, within the gaming community at large, probably one of the most welcoming and social and supportive communities that I have ever seen. And you're right, like you guys are so eager and quick to help and support each other and share knowledge, and it's kind of a beautiful thing. So, I mean, if you just want to be in a positive gaming community, that's another reason just to get to know speedrunners for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't even have to speedrun yourself. You could have an interest and ask questions without even like speedrunning yourself. A lot of viewers do. A lot of viewers are like really knowledgeable about the game just from watching me play so often, but speedrun themselves, you know, there's all kinds of levels of interest.
For sure. Speaking of different levels of interest, you are a man of many talents. You had mentioned previously that you actually used to have your own podcast. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I did. I did the podcast gig for like 3 years. Me and my buddy, it was the 8-Bit and Retro Show. His handle is 8-Bit Steve. My handle's the Retro Runner, so it's as creative as my handle is. We started similarly to you guys. It was kind of speedrunning focused, but not hardcore all about speedrunning. We would get world record holders of other games and interview them, pick their brains about speedrunning and what they like, and talk about games in depth. it was a really awesome and rewarding experience that we did for like 3 years. And as far as speed running podcasts, which is a niche upon niche, category, it was pretty successful in terms of the amount of downloads and that we had towards the end. But I'm sure you guys already know how much work a podcast is.
Oh yeah.
Especially this guy.
Yeah. No, I spend a large amount of my week editing, promoting, and just doing stuff for the podcast, which it's a labor of love, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You do it because you love it. And it is a rewarding experience. I still like the format a lot, which is why I was stoked to come on your guys' show. But yeah, just like the work to reward ratio was starting to wear on us. I was trying to, at that time, transition to full-time streaming and do the podcast and create content and like do all these things. And he was also streaming and he's writing books on video games and stuff. And at a certain point, we just mutually called it. It was like, all right, it's time to move on. I think that some of the episodes are on YouTube, maybe, but we used to be on Buzzsprout, which is a service that disseminates a bunch of places that we stopped paying for.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them, but wouldn't they still be hosted at the other places, or the Buzzsprout account I used for like my old job, because I did a gaming community podcast for them, they would kind of disappear. They wouldn't stay on the other sites. Like, did you get to keep any of your show, or?
I think that it is on the Buzzsprout URL, but I don't think that is disseminated to all those like Spotify and iHeartRadio and stuff. Like that's what you pay them for. I think I haven't gone back to check really, to be honest. I just know that we stopped paying subscription to Buzzsprout.
Fair enough. All right. Well, other than that, you also shred sweet metal tunes, and we actually get a little bit of that in the video you put up for your world record set. So tell us more about what you do on the music side of things.
Yeah, so like ages ago, before speedrunning, I was, I still am, but I was like pretty set on being a working musician. I did a small amount of like national, international tours and stuff, even very brutal, very awesome, but very like brutal thing to be like, I'm going to make money doing this. It ended up not panning out, as you might suspect. But I always kept that passion, and I actually feel that there's a lot of overlap between speedrunning or even just like being a capable video gamer. There's like this hand-eye coordination aspect of it, but particularly with speedrunning, practicing something over and over and over and over again, and then like trying to put all these little parts into one seamless, flawless performance is extremely similar to musicianship. And then like streaming your attempts, now there's this like live performance aspect to it. So it must tickle like the same part of my brain or something, which might explain why I took to it so quickly. I started out just doing speedrunning on Twitch. I didn't do anything else. And then one of my friends was like, well, don't you play guitar? Like, why wouldn't you stream that? Like, duh. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess. And then like I started streaming just like, I don't know, very not structured jam sessions. And I was like, well, how do I marry these two things? How do I combine technical guitar playing with technical speedrunning, or even just like streaming, period, video games? So I came up with this idea, the channel point redemption on my channel. You save up my channel points, or maybe you can bribe me with real money. You can suggest a game for me to make an arrangement of it, record it, deliver the song to you, after which it's free to everybody on my Bandcamp, and then perform it live on Twitch. And that's been a really cool part of the channel. I'm trying to push that more and more. Hopefully people continue to show interest, because it's really a fulfilling part of my stream, and it's just been actually really. Like, I was playing guitar before, but not like the way that I am now. Now I'm like playing guitar a lot more because of this silly redemption on my channel, if you could like believe
cool.
it or not.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate that you took the time to hang out with us today. It's awesome that we were able to get you on. So I know that time is tight, especially since we lost about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So let's move forward, if you don't mind, Ian, come along with us on this journey that is Player 2 has entered the podcast.
Yeah, let's hang out, guys.
Let's hang out. All right. And then, of course, at the end of the show, people stick around. We're going to make sure you know where you can find Ian and his many speedrunning and musical talents. Catching up with you, Derrick. How's your week been, man?
Oh, it's been pretty good, man. Earlier I shared with you that I had the pickup of the year.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Tell us all about this pickup today.
Yeah, so basically I ended up spending... Actually, no, I'm not going to tell you how much I spent. But
that's a wise choice.
Yeah, I picked up a bunch of like DS games and PSP games, Game Boy Advance games, PS3 games. So I'm going to name off some of the big boys. And all these games are complete, by the way. Pokemon Soul Silver, Final Fantasy Tactics A2, Grimoire of the Rift,
Yo,
Castlevania
Did
Portrait.
you say Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the DS? Is that
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that isn't people don't talk about that game. That game's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, no, I haven't played it, but I mean, it looks good.
Really good.
I played all through the original Game Boy Advance version, not the kind of DS follow-up.
Oh,
but,
I picked that up too.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, I got Final Fantasy Tactics as well on the GBA, Fire Emblem on GBA, Advance Wars 2, Doom, Metroid Fusion, Pokemon Sapphire, Zelda Link to the Past 4 Swords, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, Advance Wars Dual Strike, Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, Chrono Trigger with the poster.
Wow.
Final
that's
Fantasy
awesome,
4,
man.
That's amazing.
Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Survivor, 3D Dot Game Heroes on PS3, Folklore, Persona 4 Arena, and there's some others, but like,
Yo, some fire titles, man.
yeah, it's like it ended up being like $1,500 worth of games.
Oh boy.
Like, jeez.
Some fire titles. A potential episode title, to be honest.
Bruh.
Because, dude.
Yeah, no, I was like, you should have seen me in action. I was just like, okay, yeah, you got this.
I'd have been shaking.
Right. I was like, you gotta let me back there, man. You gotta let me see it.
That is so cool, man. That's awesome.
Oh, man. I love it. As soon as we're done, I'm gonna pop these pictures and post them on ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more.
Always be plugging.
Mm-hmm. Always be plugging.
All right,
but
man.
besides that,
Yeah.
it's my daughter's birthday yesterday.
Happy
Which is the
birthday,
second.
Nora.
Happy birthday.
And she's a big 5-year-old. Oh my
Aw.
goodness. And she's just so beautiful. Her school has a thing where they have parents come in and they're a mystery reader and they read the kids a story. And I got to do that. And it was so sweet.
That's cool.
Yeah, and when I was done, like none of the kids clapped. I was like, "You assholes!" but they were like, "We really like that story." I was like, "Okay, you saved it." Because I was reading the fuck out of that book. Okay,
Gave them A+ material and they didn't even clap. Wow,
I know,
tough
I'm just
audience.
like, oof. But gaming wise, I got her first video game system, which is a pink DSi.
Hey,
And she
awesome.
loves it. She's like, "Daddy, can I play my game? Daddy, where's my game? Show me how to play this. Daddy." And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
mind because
5-year-olds.
like I definitely want her to learn how to play. And she was playing a little bit of Pokemon and Megamind and just, I mean, she's doing her thing, man.
that's awesome.
I love
man.
it.
I can't wait till our kids get a little older when we play games with them on the reg. That'd be good stuff.
Hell yeah.
All right.
But that's about it for me, man. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been fine. I have a fun story to talk about, something that happened to me over the holidays, but it's more related to some games I've been playing. I mean, It happened while I was playing a game. Whatever, we'll talk about it later.
Oh, yeah.
I had some pop culture stuff I wanted to catch up on, but I know, Ian, a lot of the stuff you're not big on, so we're going to kind of gloss over it a little bit, maybe elaborate next week. But I'm hearing a lot of rumors about the Resident Evil movie, and people are saying it's not great. I don't know if you've heard anything different, Derrick, or if you're even following that, Ian. I was low-key excited about it because it looked like it was going to be better than like what we've gotten, the schlocky stuff that we've gotten with the Paul W.S. Anderson movies. I don't know. It just sounds like it's just all reference, no substance, if that makes sense. Like somebody heard that it wasn't enough like the games on the old franchise, and they're like, we'll just throw everything in there. Kind of like what they did with Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I'm like, you can't course correct that hard the other way. That's not what we wanted either. We wanted something
Have you
good.
seen Ghostbusters Afterlife?
No, but I'm hearing like
Okay.
really terrible things about it too,
Oh,
unfortunately.
no.
Yeah,
I
I
was
don't
excited- I
know.
was
I'm still
excited
going to
for
go
that.
see it, but I'm
Yeah.
tempering my expectations.
I'm gonna wait on it.
People kept saying, I kept seeing on TikTok people saying like they liked Cowboy Bebop on Netflix, and I'm like, am I wrong about Bopflix? Is it actually good? And I went back and watched more of it. I watched episode 3, and I was like, nah, it's still bad.
No.
3
I think-
episodes is enough. It's
Yeah.
enough of a dive to be like, I think this show sucks.
Yeah. I think it's because you have such a attachment to the original, to the source material.
And you know what? That is completely viable. To me, what I got out of the original, I'm just not getting out of this show. And I think that some people got something different out of the original, and they're seeing it in this show, and that's good enough for them. So I'm not going to hate on people that like it. But to me, Cowboy Bebop is a Western / sci-fi / noir, and things are close to the chest, and it's a lot of dark rooms and jazz and fedoras and detective bullshit with a little bit of Western and sci-fi, but mainly it's that kind of heavy backstory, broken, damaged people coming together trying to get by type of story for me. And I just don't get that vibe at all with the new show. The new show really leans in to the camp, but also is paired with writing that I feel personally is subpar. So that's
we're gonna have cupcakes. Cupcakes. Yeah, everybody loves cupcakes.
Oh, my favorite line that I actually
Moving
thought
on.
was really funny, but it's still bad, but it made me laugh. They were trying to get information from this local, I don't know, connected person. Maybe they're a criminal, maybe they're an officer of the law. I don't remember who she is, but her name is Woodcock. And she kind
Too
of...
easy.
Yeah, right. She kind of holograms in to the Bebop to talk to Jet and Spike, and she knows Jet, and like she wants to really know Jet because she's flirting with him pretty hardcore. And she's like, I got more information for you. Maybe we could talk about it over dinner. And Jet Black's like, who, by the way, he actually is really good in the show. I love the actor that plays Jet Black. He nails that character. He goes, that sounds like blackmail. And she goes, oh, yeah, because you are black and you are male.
Oof.
Woof. And just all of that
baby.
while Spike is watching and like laughing, like that was fun, but then immediately followed up with like a really bad conversation, and then the show just kind of took a dive from there again. So there are moments where I'm like, it's so dumb, it's kind of endearing, and then it just kind of crosses that line for me. So enter at your own risk. If you really love Vicious and Julia, extra don't watch the show, because I think they annihilated their characters. Moving on.
Yeah.
We've been watching Hawkeye. We're going to dive into this really deep next week, but I wanted to get like just a light impressions from you, Derrick. What do you think about the show so far?
I'm liking it, especially after episode 3.
Yeah, I was going to
Episode
say
3 was
episode 3
like-
really ticked it up.
Yeah. I was
Okay.
like, oh shit. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Out of respect for our guest, we're going to dive into that next week. But folks, we are watching Hawkeye, and yes, we will have some opinions. Don't worry. All right.
I saw the banner on Disney Plus when we watched Muppet Christmas Carol, if that counts. Right?
Yeah, I think that counts. Did you like his outfit?
I thought it was very purple, and I like purple as a color, so I guess it's a good start, right?
Yeah,
10 out of
purple.
10, Hawkeye.
10 out of 10. He wears purple, guys. All right, man. All right, well, speaking of which, let's get into what we've been playing. Let me start with our guest, Ian, my good friend. What you been getting into lately?
Ninja Gaiden and Bucky. No, no. I said before we started recording that like kind of like a full-time streamer, so I spend like hours during the day like grinding a game, and like if you can imagine me not really wanting to play a video game after I'm done, that's like a fair assumption. But every once in a while, especially like with my girlfriend, like we'll try out a game together, like casually. We've been messing with Enter the Gungeon. Because heard that one's pretty cool. It's really hard. It's really hard, but we've been having fun with that.
Right on, yeah. I've played it a bit myself. I agree it's really hard. It's one of those roguelites or roguelikes, I should say. It looks like it could get progressively easier and kind of the options will open up, but it looks like you do have to invest a lot in the front end. You got to kind of bang your head against a wall a little bit to really learn the enemies, because they don't pull many punches even from jump, as far as I remember.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a bullet hell, like right away.
Straight up, yeah. They're just like, boom, you're in it.
And they give you some tools to circumvent the bullets and clear them, but like it takes a while to like make those mechanics kind of like second nature.
Exactly.
But
the muscle memory is tough on that one.
yeah, we have been having fun with it. I think it's really cool. They have an absurd amount of guns.
Yes.
Since the name might imply, just like the most ridiculous guns ever, and like just cool like Easter eggs. Like there's the Mega Buster in there. Like you have like Mega Man's Mega Buster in there, which is cool. I was pleasantly surprised by it. We're having a good time with it for sure.
Great. And you had mentioned another game that you were checking out, which I actually was really intrigued by. It was called War-Deedlit, was it?
Yeah, the full title is Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth. This is based on like talking about obscure IPs. This was like an anime. I don't think I don't think it was a show though. I think it was a show.
It was connected to Record of Lodoss War, which was an anime, I believe.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was like a miniseries deal, or was it a TV? I don't know.
Maybe.
It was an anime.
It was an anime in the early 90s.
There you go.
And it is very much like Castlevania Symphony of the Night like game, kind of in the way that Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is.
It's like
similar.
a Metroidvania.
It's totally a Metroidvania, but it is even closer to Symphony of the Night, down to like the way the sprites look. Deedlit's backdash is very reminiscent of Alucard's backdash. And it isn't terribly long, but definitely worth note for me because, first of all, the game looks amazing. It looks gorgeous, which cannot be understated at all. But it's like one of the first modern games, and I don't really do this a lot, so it says a lot. It's the first modern games that I've beaten in like a very long time. And it's like from this year. So I thought that was, I guess, appropriate for you guys' show.
No, I actually appreciate the suggestion. That and Bucky O'Hare, I got a lot to look forward to. So Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth did come out in 2021.
Yes, it came out earlier this year, I think.
What is it on?
I think it's on everything. I played it on Steam, but I think that it's on Switch too. Okay. If not, it might be on the PlayStation Network. Okay. I know that there's at least one. It's a console release.
Don't worry, we're gamers with a capital G. We have all the systems. It's somewhere. We'll find it.
You'll find it.
I'm interested. It sounds amazing. All right, well, Derrick, what you been getting into this week? And last week, if you want.
Right. Yeah, pretty much just Shin Megami Tensei 5. I am creeping up on the end of the game, I believe.
Creeping is the operative term, because that game is just a big old apple, and you're a worm.
Yeah. And I think 35 hours in, I think. I mean, I'm still really loving it. All the new demons I'm acquiring are super dope. I'm doing a lot more of the special fusions, and just my level's getting up really high. I'm at level 61, I think. Okay. Am I at level 61? 50 something. I don't know. The 50s or 60s, but I'm at a point where I kind of have to do a lot of grinding because these bosses are not playing.
They are not playing.
Yeah.
How are you, Ian, with hardcore RPGs? You get into those at all?
What would you consider a hardcore RPG?
Shin Megami Tensei.
And I know the title, but other than the title, I know nothing about. I very much like the RPG genre, and in fact, most people are surprised to learn that my favorite game of all time, it's definitely not Ninja Gaiden. It's actually Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger.
You mentioned that you picked up
I knew you were going to say that.
That sweet DS title, which is an amazing release.
Yeah.
With a bunch of awesome extra content. But yeah, I'm down to grind, like I like gaining levels, and I like RPGs for sure.
Shin Megami Tensei might not be a bad series to get into. What makes it kind of hardcore is you have kind of a rock, paper, scissors aesthetic. I mean, think Pokemon, where people are weak to ice, maybe because they use fire, vice versa. There's the wind element, a lightning element, a dark, and a light. There's physical attacks. And then some games even kind of break it down into like 3 different types of physical attacks. But here's the gist. If you do an attack that's effective, you get an extra turn. But if you do an attack that is not effective or gets blocked, you lose turns. And if you make a mistake or read a monster wrong, or just you don't know the monster right off and you pick the wrong move, that next
that,
turn, they kill you and your whole team. Probably.
That seems like a good snowball.
They kill you and your whole family.
Yes,
real quick.
Yeah, it's a picnic at the Punisher's family reunion. Let's just say that. So, not great. But that's what kind of makes it exciting, is each battle, you can't really sleep on it. You have to pay attention. And there is a Pokemon aspect to it because you're collecting gods and demons like Pokemon from Chinese mythology, Celtic lore, Christianity, like Judeo, Buddhism, like all of the different religions and disciplines. They'll pull any gods and demons. So in your party, you can have like Zeus next to Lucifer, next to Kulane or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, or Thor or whatever. But it's wild.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. I actually got into Shin Megami Tensei with Persona 3, which is the first one that came out for PS2. And Persona is kind of a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei that has more of a social aspect to it in addition to the grind. And the social sim / dating sim, the closer you get to people, all of them are lined with different arcana that align with different gods and demons that you can fight with that make you stronger. So the stronger relationships you have in your day-to-day, the stronger you are dungeon crawling at night. Very cool system that a lot of people are really into. So something to consider. Well, speaking of considering things, I considered a lot of video games in the past couple of weeks, Derek. Oh my God.
Yeah. Ooh,
Remember how you've been trending to be playing most of the games?
Yeah.
It's definitely back to the way it used to be because I played a ton of games. Luckily, I'm not going to speak on them all for like hours and hours on end, but I'll briefly go over the ones that I did touch on. So I played Strider on the Mega Drive for an episode of Favorite Keep Delete for our TikTok channel. And that would be a great game to speedrun because, man, I forgot how good his movement is in that game.
Yeah, he's doing like a bunch of no-handed cartwheels across the screen and stuff.
Yeah, and there's some moves that aren't like readily kind of taught to you. Like you can actually grapple and kind of pull yourself towards ledges and things really quickly with the certain button presses. And you can attack as fast as you can hit the button, and your attack has a pretty decent reach. So I could see somebody really singing with that game, if you want to use the music analogy. It really does kind of flow well, even for somebody who barely plays it. Like I'm an amateur, and I was having a great time, just feeling very badass with it. So speaking of retro games to go back to, like Ninja Gaiden and Bucky O'Hare, Strider, it holds up.
Yeah, I played that one not that long ago, and I didn't invest a ton of time into it either.
Yeah.
But I came across it in my flashcard. I was like, oh yeah, of course, Strider. And it's really gratifying to like flip around all over the place, isn't it? Like it's way different than just like going left to right, like a lot of 8-bit, 16-bit action platformers are.
It definitely stands out for sure.
It's really cool. Wasn't there some kind of Redux or a completely new Strider game? I think for.
Yeah, it was for modern systems, I think.
Yeah, right?
Like arcade. I want to say I think it was 360. I don't know if it came out in the PS4, Xbox One era.
No, I think you're right. I think it's previous, now 2 gens ago.
2 gens ago. But yeah,
Wow.
it kind of had like a reboot / kind of, revival. And it did okay. It kind of quickly faded from existence, though, probably because of rights issues and stuff. I'm not even sure if it's still up on the store. But if it is, people should definitely snatch it up because it wasn't as good as the original from what I remember, but it was still a lot of fun. And going back and buying those types of games, you never know, that might be the push that IP needs for the publisher to invest in them and keep the series going. Because we haven't had a Strider for quite some time, and it is still a very unique franchise. So
Yeah.
Sure.
Metroid Dread. Okay, so I finished a lot of games, and we're going to talk about them later, and I decided I'd go back and try Metroid Dread again. So, Ian, you probably don't know this if you haven't listened to some of the more recent episodes that we've had, but I'm one of the few people in the world that does not like Metroid Dread.
Oh, wow.
I know. I want to like it so bad. I think I pinned down what my issue is with it, because I went back to try it again this week, and I just stopped. I was like, I'm not having fun. I hate this. And the issue with me is Metroid Dread is constantly asking me to wait instead of play the game. It's either go into this area where Emmy is stalking you and wait till she gets past, like go invisible, or wait to the side, or run away from her and try again because you got caught. So there's just a whole lot of stop playing the game and do this instead. And then the whole parrying system seems cool at first, but I've noticed that enemies They attack quickly in some instances, but a lot of instances it takes them a second to rear up the attack that you need to parry. So I find myself running into the flying enemies and then just standing there and waiting for them to attack me one at a time so I can parry and one-shot them.
Yeah.
But I'm just standing there waiting. You know what I mean? Instead of just
Shoot
shooting them
'em.
immediately and moving on. Which I could do, but it takes more shots, so it still takes
He's
more
like,
time.
shoot him.
Yeah. Plus, if you shoot them without parrying, you don't get any health or missiles. So if I want to replenish anything, I kind of need to get in the
Yeah, I
mode.
guess
So
if
you
you
gotta
had
play
to
the
farm.
game. Don't let the game play you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
I guess
why...
from a farm, if you had to farm stuff, that sounds annoying. I'll just say I haven't even played the game, but I have watched it a lot.
Yeah,
Because it's like the hot speedrunning game right now. It's like
I can
blowing
imagine.
up.
Yeah.
I can't speak to what like a casual experience would be like, and it sounds like logically your gripes could be pretty legitimate. But when I see a speed run of it, like no one's waiting for shit.
No, I didn't
You
think
know,
they would.
like,
I didn't think they would be.
and like I look at it and like, wow, this game looks like it was made to speed run. And I think there's, at least again, just like I'm an observer, a lot of fan service to the Super Metroid fans was paid with this, which I could definitely get down with. And like that's the first kind of Metroid game like that we've seen in like, you know, I don't know, forever.
That's why I want to
yeah.
like it. There's something about my playstyle or how I'm approaching the game that's not jiving with how it wants me to play it. And if I can unlock that or figure out what I need to do to change with my approach, maybe it's the game that I need to learn how to speedrun. Maybe I need to go and like you said, watch the speedruns, get with the community, and decide to play it that way rather than play it casually, because me playing it casually is not working.
No.
So, more to come on that, because I don't want to give up on it just yet, but I have set it down again. Donut County, I've played this a bunch on Switch. It's like reverse Katamari. You move the holes around, and the hole gets bigger the more stuff falls in it. I noticed it was on Game Pass, and it's also on the cloud, so I didn't even have to download it. So I cloud gamed it today and just got all the achievements, because why not?
Yeah.
I played it so many times, I was able to, quote unquote, speed run that game and beat it and get all the achievements within like 2 hours. And I was like, I feel accomplished.
Good. Yeah.
And it's a great game. So if you have Game Pass, I'd recommend it if you haven't.
That sounds fun. I love Katamari Damacy. That's really zany.
So relaxing too. I love it. Yeah, Donut County is fun, and the story's kind of interesting, and I like the characters. Like the writing is cheeky, and it's about a raccoon who sends a hole to your house to suck up you and all your stuff if you order a donut. So it's kind of not really what you asked for. It's good stuff. Let's see. Oh, today I also played, because it came out on Game Pass, and I tried it on cloud, and then I eventually downloaded it. Lawn Mowing Simulator.
Oh, yeah.
I
So,
saw
I
you
mean-
in Discord. You replied, I was like, lawn mowing simulator. Huh.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, as you can tell, I have very good gaming opinions because I hate Metroid Dread.
Right.
And I love lawn mowing. I've lost all credibility on this episode. I knew I would want to at least check it out because it speaks to that weird thing in me where I like to do mundane, relaxing tasks in games. I was telling Derrick earlier, whenever there's like a mini game to do some sort of chore in a video game, I weirdly enjoy it. Like I actually liked mowing the lawn in Bully when you have to serve detention, or in No More Heroes to make money before you can purchase your next assassination attempt. And I was right. I actually started playing it, and I popped on some Spotify in my Xbox browser app because I imagined that my guy was listening to music while he was mowing the lawn. And there's a career mode so you can set up a business. My business is called Grass Blasters. We blast that grass.
I like the tagline a lot.
Yeah. And I just, it was like, okay, here's how you start up the engine. Here's how you lower the blades. Here's how you kick the blades on. And here's what you need to do in order to effectively do your contract. You'll get dinged if you do X, Y, and Z. Avoid this, do this in a certain amount of time. Go. And I was like, I'm going to mow the shit out of this lawn. I'm going to get the best time. So that's what I did today. Now, cloud gaming worked good for a little while, but then I don't know if my son was just watching too much YouTube upstairs or there was too many things on the internet at once, but it started to kind of do that cloud gaming thing where like a wave started to come down, and then pretty soon it was like a slideshow, and then it was unplayable. So I eventually downloaded it. Lawn Mowing Simulator is 18 gigs. So pretty sizable, but I don't regret it because I mowed a few lawns today and I was really excited. We joke about that game that's keeping us from starting recording the podcast, and today the game was like, I gotta stop playing Lawn Mowing Simulator and do this podcast, I guess. I was getting ready to upgrade my business and buy a new building. I was very excited.
No.
But Lawn Mowing Sim.
I know how dumb it is, and I can't help it. I'm just obsessed. I did finish Tales of Arise. That's one of the more popular JRPGs that came out this year, and I platinumed it, and I love it. It got a little too anime-ish towards the end, and I don't really feel like the ending was as strong as it was setting up to be.
It was strong.
It wasn't strong to me, and that's okay. But it was okay. Like, they landed the plane. It's just they didn't really come out and breakdance afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, I was expecting like an epilogue and where are they now and what are they doing? And it was just like, we win. The end.
Yay!
Cool. Awesome. But, you know, the journey there is what matters. And it was fun. So, yeah. And then I played Guardians of the Galaxy, another game that was a surprise hit this year. No one expected that game to be good.
Nobody.
I didn't expect that game to be good. I mean, it wasn't Crystal Dynamics developing it, but it was Square Enix handling a Marvel property, and we've seen how that can go. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that a little bit in gaming news, actually. And I was pleasantly surprised by how heartfelt it was and how well the characters were written, how much I learned about the Guardians of the Galaxy, having not read their comics.
Right.
And how they really took and made those characters their own, and they felt not only separate from the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, even though there's some obvious crossover with the classic songs and whatnot, but they made it kind of their own and my personal favorite versions of the characters. Same. Yeah. Very surprised by that.
Yes, it's a very beautiful game.
Yeah. Had a lot of fun with it and would recommend it to anybody. You can finish it in a weekend if you do nothing but play it. I think it took me maybe around 2.5, 3 days of playing moderately. Maybe I played a total of like 20 hours, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, yeah, I had a great time with it and was able to get the platinum trophy on that. Yay!
Damn.
And I'm playing Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. That's the last game.
Hey.
And I played more of that. I've gotten to the point where I've unlocked the Underground, which was in the original DS game. And they've made some tweaks. Some tweaks I like the ability to catch Pokemon down there that you can't normally find in the Diamond and Pearl games. It seems like they're mainly from Generation 2, as far as Generation 2 and 3, as far as I can tell. They're a little bit tougher, so that's fun. And they actually show up on the map, so you can pick and choose which Pokemon you want to try to catch. The little mini game to find shards and things in the wall by mining is still just as addictive. But one thing that they took away is you can't bury your shards so they become bigger so you can buy better stuff for your secret base, which I thought was weird to remove. But all of the modern day iterations of, once you fought a Pokemon, your moves will automatically tell you which ones are effective and not effective. Your experience share works across everybody in your party. You can access your Pokemon box from anywhere in the world. You don't have to go to a PC. There's a lot of quality of life changes that really help the game. A lot of people complain that it's like a square by square remake of the original. And I agree, there's a missed opportunity to expand the map and make it more modern, like Pokemon Sword and Shield, or even just like Let's Go, which was still kind of a recreation, but it felt more modern in 3D. But at the end of the day, it's still Pokemon, and I know what I'm getting when I go to it. I don't need a whole lot of iteration, and if I do, Arceus, I think, is going to fill that gap for me pretty soon.
Ooh, that's coming up.
If you're expecting something that's going to change your life, don't. If you've played Diamond and Pearl recently and you got kind of tired of it before you finished it, I wouldn't go after these. But if you love Pokemon and you haven't played Diamond and Pearl in a while, then I would say it's worth checking out. So
awesome.
All right. Well, I think it's about time to get up to gaming news. Gaming news. Thank you for the help, Ian. Appreciate it. All right. Let's get in here. So we talked about Halo multiplayer, how that got shadow dropped during Xbox's 20th anniversary celebration, the Flex, and people loving it. Honeymoon phase may be over because a lot of people are now complaining about how it's really hard to do progression and unlock things, and it's really grindy. A lot of the events they've been having lately kind of suck. So I don't know. I don't play Halo, but I have a lot of friends that do, and I've been hearing a lot of mixed things and a little bit of rumblings and grumblings here and there. So just keep that in mind if you decide to dive in if you haven't already. It sounds like they're taking the feedback in stride and working to improve it, but again, there's really no timetable for these types of things. You just kind of have to keep up on it. I mean, I heard Battlefield, what was it, 2042?
2043.
2043?
I think so.
2042. 2040 something. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's having a terrible time. Donkey roasted that
Yeah,
game.
he sure did.
Oh
boy.
my god. Do you watch Donkey, Ian?
No.
You should. Video Game Donkey is one of my favorite gaming YouTubers. Like, from somebody who used to watch like the classics, like Continue and Game Grumps and a lot of Let's Players, I feel like Donkey's next level. But that's just my personal opinion.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Video Game Donkey. He's doing, what is it? Donkey Kong December. Donkey Kong December. Think I won't do it. Think I won't do it. Donkey Kong video every day. He said he's going to release a Donkey Kong video every day this month. And I think so far he has, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of stretching it. Cause
yesterday he was just like, there's no more
everything
dislikes. Fuck all of you. Also, Donkey Kong December. Oh man, that was funny. By the way, he went in. He was like,
"See that shit."
He said, "Last of Us Part 2 is the best game ever, and you can't say shit about it because the dislike button's gone."
That is true. They got rid of it.
Oh man, so good, so good. All right, what else we got? Oh, the Xbox Series S turned out to be the highest selling console on Black Friday. What do you know?
Surprising no one.
Yeah, here's the thing about that, and I know this is probably what you guys are already thinking, especially if you follow like the scarcity of the next gen systems. Xbox Series X hasn't really been the one selling out or hard to find. It's been the Series X and the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 more so than the Series X, but they both suffered shortages and issues and shipping and scalping and you name it. However, the Switch has always been available. And even though it's been out for a while, I do find it interesting that the S was able to overtake it for holiday sales. Mm-hmm. So I think it is a little bit of column A and column B as far as the availability of the console, but also it's the cheapest way to get Game Pass. And Game Pass, objectively, is the best deal in gaming right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Like, I had gotten Game Pass a while ago,
mm-hmm.
and I kind of forgot about it. And that someone told us, based on our taste, to check out Enter the Gungeon, and I was like, oh, it's free on Game Pass. Like,
yeah, and they're getting to the point now where they're just shadow dropping games on the service and not having big announcements anymore, but there are so many games on Game Pass, and so many games this year that dropped day one. It seems like if you don't want to have to spend a lot of money on different games, especially if you like to try out different games, and you said you and your girlfriend like to go in and every once in a while and go, what's hopping? What's going on here? Especially with the cloud gaming, you don't even have to download the game anymore if you just want to try it out first, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. You don't have to worry about the space or anything.
Exactly. Or waiting, for that matter, to download, which is great.
Right.
I wish I could have done that for Forza Horizon 5, which is an amazing game, by the way. So yeah, I thought that was a cool little tidbit of news. What else happened recently? Oh, so people who are watching BioWare, specifically the development of Dragon Age, some troubling news. The senior creative director for Dragon Age, Matt Goldman, they just sent out an email like, he's leaving, and we wish him well. No 2 weeks, no preamble to it, just bam, he's gone. And as far as I know, they haven't announced a replacement yet. So things continue to be turbulent for BioWare in the wake of pretty much ever since post-Andromeda, up through Anthem, up through now. Some point to the relationship with EA, others point to just the exodus of people leaving. There's probably some overlap there. Something to keep an eye out for if you're anticipating Dragon Age that will likely cause a pretty significant delay and doesn't bode well for the overall development of the game, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Ooh, yeah. What else do we have? Ooh, Spider-Man. Dropped on the PS5 and PS4 version of Marvel's Avengers. And he did not get his own campaign. Crystal Dynamics said they didn't want to waste time and resources on something that not everybody has access to. And considering it wasn't really their decision to lock him just to Sony, I'm not super mad at them about it. But it just further drives home that, I mean, who's playing that game?
Right.
Where's it going?
Nobody. I feel like the only people playing it are YouTubers.
Yeah. Yeah, or people who try it out on Game Pass, because I did play it on Game Pass for a bit, and it doesn't have any staying power with me. And I know we keep saying, well, we should probably like multiplayer, but when are we going to get some people together to play that? I don't even know, man.
Nobody.
So yeah, good news, I guess, if you really, really like Marvel's Avengers and or have PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I don't know. They're selling it for like $5 now or whatever. Or was it $10? I can't remember. It's so cheap.
Yeah, it's getting really cheap.
Yeah. Speaking of a game that hasn't been doing so hot, but maybe doing better, Cyberpunk 2077, making a bit of comeback over the holidays. It was half off on Steam, and a bunch of people bought it, and it's been getting like love review bombed. Its rating is kind of going up as far as the PC version is concerned. I haven't heard a whole lot about the kind of patches and updates they've been doing to the game, but it always fared a little better on PC.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. For me, I'm just waiting for that next gen version before I try again. Like, I'll upgrade my PS4 version and see kind of where it's at. I still don't think that a patch is what's really going to elevate it to where I thought it would be pre-release.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a terrible game, but it's not the game
seems like
changer.
the best example of premature release, especially in terms of like available platforms and tech. And it was just like so anticipated. That's like get it out there, and like it disservice the game. I've seen people stream it a lot. It looks gorgeous.
It's a beautiful game.
I know you can customize your peen shadow or whatever. Yeah, so I guess that's.
Sometimes you get to see your penis too, or your vagina, shadow. Because your pants will disappear when you're looking in the mirror, which is great. Right. So, it kind of reminds me of that turkey in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, that juicy, beautiful turkey that they pull out.
Yeah. I just watched that and it's a little dry.
Yeah. So. Again, as you alluded to, a series of bad decisions at the management level really kind of tanked this game before I had a chance to even have legs, so to speak. But I feel like CD Projekt Red still has somewhat of a goodwill from fans just from their previous work. We'll have to see how the next-gen versions of Cyberpunk and Witcher 3 fare next year. So, more to come on that, I'm sure. But again, positive news for it on PC at least. Nintendo recently joined the chorus of lip service and finger wagging at Bobby Kotick for being a terrible human being and wanting him to resign from Activision Blizzard. Yet, this is something I'd like to point out. All three of the major platforms have denounced his behavior and the behavior of the company at large, but continue to host their games and sell them. So, how outraged are you exactly? Like, I don't know. So at this point, to me, it's not even going to fix things if Bobby Kotick gets fired. I feel like the whole board needs to go. Like, the company, a lot of developers just need to leave together and start their own company. It's the only thing that's going to save it.
I've read I think 3 horror story articles on real things that went down there, and I don't think it's a couple of bad apples. I think it's the whole thing. I think it's the whole culture there or whatever. You need to completely start from scratch.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the phrase bad apples, Ian, because what people often don't do is finish the phrase, which is a few bad apples spoil the bunch. And you're exactly right. The whole bunch has been spoiled. I think it's going to take a lot more than just letting go the CEO, who will probably still get paid a dumb amount of money have a huge investment in the success of the company because he'll still have all his shares when he leaves. So that doesn't even begin to address the problem, unfortunately. So no end in sight there. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot of Activision Blizzard games that I actually like Diablo and Tony Hawk. And I can't buy them new or digitally anymore because I do not want to monetarily support that kind of culture. So personal decision on my part. I don't pass any judgment for folks who do still buy their games, but gross. Mass Effect. We just talked about BioWare. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is rumored to be coming to Game Pass.
I literally just bought it on PS4.
No. Well, how much money did you spend? Like $20?
Yeah, but also it was store credit, so it's not a hit.
It's worth owning. I kind of want to own it myself, but if it's on Game Pass, then I'll probably wait a little bit
But
longer.
I'm sure it won't stay on Game Pass. So.
Yeah. Although I've noticed, and maybe you can correct me if you've heard differently, that if you download a game while it's available on Game Pass and then it becomes unavailable on Game Pass, it stays in your library. Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of like PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it stays in your library indefinitely or if once you delete it, you can't re-download it or how that works. But all the Final Fantasy games that they removed recently from Game Pass, I still have them on my Xbox.
Oh, okay.
So,
can you access them, though?
More to come on that. Let me do a little bit of research. I'll get back to you. couple more stories. So just a heads up on this one. For those who actually invested in Nintendo Switch Online, Paper Mario 64 is dropping on December 10th. They just announced a date for that. I had mentioned that's one of the ones I wanted to play because I never had a chance to play it in its heyday, and I'm kind of interested to see how the series began. I started with Paper Mario at the Thousand Year Door on GameCube, which I hear is one of the best. But I'm still curious to see, you know, how the N64 version played. So, if you
I have not messed with N64 titles on the Switch, but I know at least when it first got released, especially with people who really like play the hell out of these games, like speedrun them and stuff, like it was a bit of a mess. That like they forgot to map certain C buttons and stuff, and like, and this is something that you come to expect with the Nintendo Switch Online, like the NES and SNES games. Of course, it's going to be some of what we call input delay because it's basically emulating on a modern TV, but also because you're using their online service. There's input delay on top of input delay, and I don't think that people use that to play these games in this way. But yeah, I heard it was a bit of a mess. I don't know if they had corrected some of the C mapping stuff or whatever, the C button mapping stuff.
I believe they did, at least on some of the games where it would completely lock out the ability to play the game the way it was intended. But I don't know.
Right. Like I heard about stuff like that. Like
yeah, like with
you know?
What was it? Sin and Punishment. That was one of the ones where like you couldn't move and shoot or something. But I think they fixed that. But what they should have done just from jump is allow you to map the buttons yourself. I don't understand why that wasn't a standard feature.
Yeah, why can't you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. But no, yeah, there was a lot of stuff, and I don't think anybody's going there to speedrun them on NSO.
Exactly,
at least they shouldn't be.
Right. No, you shouldn't be.
But obviously, they're the ones that are going to notice that these are maybe subpar quality, and we're expecting maybe more from Nintendo. And I kind of get where they're coming from. I'll say personally, my experience so far has been fine. I haven't had any issues. And I did buy the N64 NSO controller. And to me, that also makes the games feel a lot better just playing them on the original controller. I didn't have an N64 in its hey. I was a PlayStation guy. So I don't have the memory to go, oh, this draw distance is worse. Or this thing is missing. To me, they're playing okay. I'm like the kid who never watched the original Cowboy Bebop, and I'm on Netflix like, this is fine. But yeah, I know they were looking to address some of those issues. Hopefully they are. My whole thing, I'm just hoping and praying, is to be able to play Mystical Ninja. That's all I want to do. Just put Mystical Ninja on NSO, please. I love that game so much. It's my favorite N64 game of all time.
It's cool that you could play these games at all, you know, like...
Right.
You know,
N64 is a nightmare to emulate for, you know?
It is. You could do it, but it's not like straightforward at all.
No.
Like you got to worry about like downloading texture maps and stuff like that. And certain games are okay, and then certain games are like a freaking mess. So it's cool that they're doing that at all in such, you know, like complete neat package. Like here you go, you can just play the game. You have to worry about anything.
Yeah, you don't have to like select the right core. You're not going to go in and mess with like the settings.
I'm looking forward to like all the titles that they'll eventually put on. It is cool.
Same. All right. Well, the last story, and this just came out very recently. I think this news dropped today. I first saw it on Bloomberg. Sony's PlayStation division is planning, according to sources, a new subscription service to compete with Xbox Game Pass. That's according to people familiar with Sony's plans and documents that were reviewed by Bloomberg initially, and I think it's already been out to other outlets, like I think GameSpot reported on it. The service is codenamed Spartacus, and it should allow PlayStation owners to pay a monthly fee for access to a catalog of modern and classic games, according to sources who asked not to be identified because they're not authorized to speak to the press yet. The offering will likely be available on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, and when it launches, expecting to be around spring, the service will actually merge Sony's two existing subscription plans, PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. Currently, Plus is required for most online multiplayer games, and they offer, of course, those free monthly titles. And then Now allows you to stream or download older games, really not nearly comparable to the offering on Game Pass right now. The documents reviewed suggest that Sony will retain the PlayStation Plus branding and just phase out Now, which is probably a good idea because for anyone in the know, Now is not associated with quality, at least not right now. Haha.
At all, now.
Not now. So I've heard, I don't know if it was from the article in GameSpot or it's just more speculation, but other people who were talking about the news today said that it would only be first-party titles, and then other folks said that there may be a chance that PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games will make a big comeback on the retro side. I don't know what to expect here. I think that they really got to knock it out of the park with this one if they even want to begin to compete with Game Pass because of how embedded it is and the reputation it has. And I don't know if they're ready to go that far because they seem to be a lot more protective of access to especially their newer games. Like just the fact that Xbox just throws brand new day one games on Game Pass still kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, that's
and I feel like Sony doesn't really feel like they want to do that either. But I guess we'll have to see. What do you guys think?
I mean, I can't even imagine like them dropping Spider-Man 2 day of. God of War,
or like Horizon or God of War.
Yeah, like there's no way that's happening.
You don't think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I mean, if anything, if I had to nail one advantage that Sony had over, Xbox and Nintendo as their exclusive titles, I would imagine you want to, financially gatekeep that as much as you could. But I don't know. It seems like a weird move.
Yeah, Xbox is in a unique position because they were already kind of losing to Sony because of the exclusives, and so when you were weighing which console to buy, you were thinking about which games you wanted to play. So they didn't lose a whole lot just by going, okay, we're going to put everything on a subscription service, and that seems to be the way they're going. However, that's garnered such success for them, and there's a lot of people that are really loyal and really happy about the way that Xbox is treating customers this generation, and not super pleased with how gatekeepy, to use your phrase, that Sony has been. Not just with their first-party IPs or their original, their unique games that they have only on their platform, but also just with the idea of cross-platform or working with other people who are playing games across platform, different stuff like that. With their own classic library, they've been really kind of cagey about updating that and bringing it to the current systems and backwards compatibility. I mean, Xbox isn't perfect with backwards compatibility, but they're miles ahead of both definitely Nintendo and especially PlayStation.
Yeah, I would say that they've made the biggest effort towards backwards compatibility for sure, and that's cool. And there's no reason, particularly with CD-based consoles, you should be able to take the info from a CD and at least have the console recognize, okay, it's this game, and we can pull this info from whatever, and you can play this game.
Yeah.
There's no reason to not be able to do that.
Yeah, if Sony did that, it would be an automatic win.
Yeah, it would be an automatic win because when it comes to the library that they have access to, like their classics versus Xbox, if they just matched Xbox with the effort and they did the same thing, a certain percentage of their PS2, PS3, PS4 games,
PS1.
and PS1 if you want to include that. But I'm just trying to match generations.
PS1,
PS2.
I know that in collecting land, retro collecting land, a lot of PS1 games are super rare and you can't even find them and play them. And how great would it be to just have all that stuff?
If they had access to even just a large portion of the PS1 library attached to a subscription service, let alone the PS2 and the PS3, and then of course it being fully backwards compatible with PlayStation 4, that'd be an automatic buy from me, and I think from a lot of people.
For a lot of people, yeah.
And it would start to sway sales back in favor of PlayStation versus Xbox. I mean, the only reason why I originally got a PlayStation over an Xbox is because I had never had Game Pass and thought it was more like PlayStation Now, and it was only until I started kind of do research and hear from people that have it, and when I realized, no, Game Pass is actually pretty damn good. And Xbox has been making moves. They bought Double Fine, they bought Bethesda. They have these large studios making these games exclusively for Xbox now. They're really pushing, and PlayStation has been on the top for a while. It's been getting kind of complacent. So I hope this is an answer to all of that, and I hope it's a strong answer. But we'll see come spring, it sounds like.
Yeah. Come on, Sony.
All right.
Come on.
Well, I think, gentlemen, I think that's an episode, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
We did it. We did it. We soldiered through adversity and through technical difficulties, and we made it.
We made it.
Woo! Good job, guys. Woo!
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's land the plane. So we're gonna pay a few
effort.
dues to our host Anchor, and we'll be right back to let you know where you can find the Retro Runner and all the good stuff that he does. So stick around. And we're back. What a great ad that was. Still the same ad as every time. I know you love it. Anyways, Ian, Retro Runner.
Yo.
The people need to know where they can find you running and retroing and retro running. Let us know. Where can we see these spectacular speedruns?
Yeah, come on down to twitch.tv/TheRetroRunner. All one word, no goofy underscores, periods, or backslashes, just THE Retro Runner. No matter what your interest in speedrunning is, like even if you just barely like video games, just come and hang out and tell me about some dumb thing that happened to you during the day, and we'll laugh about it together. That's like the meat and potatoes of my channel, really. And then like speedrunning happens on the side. You know, like maybe some hype thing is about to happen. But most of the time, that's what we're doing. Come on down. If you had fun with us hanging out with us today, come on down. You'll probably have a good time with me on Twitch. You can find some of my personal bests. YouTube.com/TheRetroRunner. If you have a Twitter and you're looking for people to follow, you can follow me on Twitter. Retro_runner. You know, Twitter @retro_runner. Facebook.com/TheRetroRunner. And last but not least, and this is cool if you want just like some free music. Yeah, just free. TheRetroRunner.bandcamp.com. And you'll find the covers of the video game tunes that we've done so far. That's me in the world of social media and content creation.
Excellent. All right. We'll make sure to put links in the show notes for those who are interested in checking you out.
Just want to give a huge shout out to my buddy VGA for not only getting me the hookup on this podcast, but just being an awesome dude and helping out in so many ways. Go follow VGA. He rocks.
Definitely. We love VGA here on the podcast. Yeah. And we appreciate him for suggesting you and getting us connected. So awesome. Thank you. And if you love Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage, but really that dude is so good at, like, I don't know, name a game, and he's like really good at it.
He's a savant for sure. Yeah. For sure. Right on. And Derrick, that fantastic haul that you got today and other video games and goodies, also more. Where can people find that?
They can find it at ebay.com/str/gamergoodies and more. I'm on Instagram @gamergoodiesmore and Twitter @goodies_more.
All right. And don't forget, we upload new episodes to our hub at anchor.fm/player2isenter_the_pod every single Sunday. But our podcast is also available on other platforms, including Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can find us on all the social medias. I'm talking TikTok.com/@player2isenter_the_pod, Facebook.com/player2isenter_the_pod, YouTube, Player2isenter_the_podcast. Subscribe, follow, like, comment, get those notifications. All of it really helps us out. And if you really, really, really want to help us out, we do have a Patreon.com/player2isenter_the_pod. Feel free to check that out if you're so inclined. And you want to contact us, you can reach out on those social medias, or you can email us at mcpaperstacks@gmail.com if you have listener suggestions, questions, feedback, anything. We're open. We would love to hear from you. You can follow me personally on Twitter @MikePetersonAL. And I Twitch stream, although I think you had mentioned it earlier, Ian, that you had the podcast, but then the streaming kind of took over. I feel like it's been the opposite for me. I had the streaming, and then the podcast kind of took over.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I've moved it to Sunday nights, but I actually haven't streamed yet. I need to get my shit together. But if you want to see my older stuff or maybe pop by and encourage me, I'm at twitch.tv/mcpaperstacks, and I appreciate that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a show.
Woo!
I'd like to take a second to thank our honored guest, Ian, the Retro Runner, world record holder of Ninja Gaiden. Once again, congratulations, Ian.
Thank you, guys.
Fabulous,
Thanks for having me.
Fabulous work.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast.
Hey, oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time, man. We had a great time as well. And thank you to our listeners out there for coming out. We'll see you next week. We love you. Take care.
Peace.